Greetings, dear viewers. Today, on our live conversation on ALLATRA TV Ireland, we are welcoming a very special guest who joined us all the way from the Netherlands. But before we introduce him, I would like to remind those who are maybe watching us for the first time that the topic of such conversation is creative society, the society where a human life is the highest value, where each and every person feels safe, lives a fulfilled life, and has opportunities to constantly develop himself or herself as a person and as a professional. Last Friday, we had a really inspiring broadcast with Gaia Ferreira, where Gaia recommended us the guest for the next live show. Let's watch a short video of how it was.
Gaia, who would you like to nominate for a future live interview? And mind you, I've already been interviewed here, so you can't nominate me.
I'd like to interview my good friend, David Alison, who is, he's also a coach. And when you meet him, you'll see he's so full of love and wanting to spread more love. He's got this amazing project to help the homeless in Scotland get off the streets and get coaching support and help. And he's just such a soft soul. He's like, he's like that puppy, like that, I don't know, wherever you are in the world, maybe you don't know this commercial. When I was a kid, there was this commercial at Christmas time where these Cocker Spaniels came and got your slippers, and they brought you the slippers, while you sat by the Christmas tree next to the fire. David is like that. He's like that Cocker Spaniel who he's so filled with love. He wants to love you and show you that you're lovable and loved, and just make it even bigger and stronger, and make it the whole world mission to live in this beautiful, beautiful energy.
So today we have with us Gaia Ferreira. Hi, dear Gaia, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing great. We're having a beautiful sunny day here in Ireland. It is a very special day. In fact, as I was driving into my office today, there was this beautiful rainbow. So we know great things are about to happen.
Amazing. And guess who else we have here with us? David Alison.
This way. No, this way.
Yeah.
Wait a second here. Reverse screen. We have David, the amazing David Alison.
Good morning, everybody from Scotland. Nice to be here. I don't have sunshine today, but we just have normal Scottish weather. Mist on the hills, but it's beautiful.
Super. So, Gaia, would you please tell us what connects you with David? How did you meet each other?
Yes, absolutely. So David and I have known each other for, I think it's probably about 3 or 4 years, right, David?
Yes, I think it's 3.5 years, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and so we met at a training for coaches, and it was one of those things, when you go out and you meet someone and you have a conversation and it's like you've known them all your life. It was like that. So David and I think were basically inseparable for a few days. We, we did our coach training thing during the day, and then in the evenings we would spend hours just reflecting and planning the future and what else could we do in life and in the world to bring more love, more awareness, more kindness, better mindsets, stronger mindsets, and just be the voice of good, wholesome living. So David and I have been friends ever since. We are, I dare to say, advisors to each other as well. We bounce ideas, creative ideas, business ideas off each other, and it's a wonderful synergetic relationship.
Wow, so good.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, there's a great saying you see in social media: your vibe attracts your tribe. And I remember when we were in New Jersey doing the training, and a guy just walked across the room, and I thought, oh, I like that energy. And we looked at each other. It's funny, we looked each other up at the break, and I'm talking to the middle of the night, the first night. And ever since then, we just put the world to rights, and sometimes we put each other to rights.
Yeah.
which is great. It's what you want, and it's great when one of your best friends is a coach, because you never have to pay for it.
That's really funny. I've been telling my clients who are all like, "Oh, it must be so great to have you as a partner. You have this all figured out." And I'm like, "No, the last thing you want is the data coach, because they always know what to tell you. You can't escape. You can't escape." But it is great to have friends as coaches, because you can't escape. So they call you to a much higher level of yourself, and they don't let you hide in the trenches of life, right? They know you, and they know you fundamentally, and they know you from the heart. And so they are really good at calling you out on your own little blind spots and saying, "Come on, that's just not good enough. Let's go. Come on, raise it up, raise it up. You can do better."
Yeah, there's no escaping. We know when to call each other out and when to hold each other up and whatever. So it's the best type of relationship to be in, because you just get to be the authentic you, and if you're not the authentic you get called out. So it's a great place to be.
Agree. David, could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, what inspires you in life, what motivates you?
What motivates me? Yeah, good question. Because I've only been in this coaching space for about 4 years, and before that, I'm 59 years old. I'm a granddad. It was my granddaughter's birthday yesterday, and she's 5 years old. And I spent 35 years in the corporate world chasing this dream that I thought I wanted. And my whole life I just pushed and pushed and pushed. And it wasn't until towards the end of last year that I stopped pushing. And what do I mean by pushing? I mean, yeah, I have to keep proving myself. So I spent my whole life proving myself in my corporate career, because my first manager said, "You'll never make anything of your life." And I thought, well, that doesn't feel right. And I proved him wrong within 2 years. But I went on proving him for another 30 years. Then I got my dream job in corporate life. I lived in Amsterdam at the time, and I got this job in Belgium. My dream job, went into my dream job, and within 6 months, I thought, what am I doing here? The money's great, the office is great, traveling the world is great, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I thought, there's got to be more to life than this. And then I sat down one Friday night with a big glass of wine and watched this documentary by a guy called Tony Robbins, and that kind of transformed my life. And so here I am 4 years later. I gave up a corporate career. I became a coach. I've done over 4,000 coaching sessions. I've studied hypnotherapy, NLP, spiritual energies, and I bring all of these things into my work, and I help people transform their lives. And towards the end of last year, I knew 4 years ago there was a bigger vision for me. And that bigger vision I knew would bring me back to Scotland. And when I came back from Scotland in October, my daughter came to stay with me in the lockdown from London. And we were at a walk one day, and I fell and I broke my ribs. I was just out walking by the river. I walk up mountains along little narrow ledges, and I never fall down. But I fell down in my village, and I broke 3 ribs. And that was the time for me when I just went, okay, there's a message here, David. And the message was, stop pushing, surrender. And as soon as I stopped surrendering, I got so much clarity. I got a vision of why I was back here. And that was to help the homeless people of Scotland. And as the days went on and I meditated more, it just became clearer and clearer and clearer. So now it's like I had a contract working for a big American company. I stopped that and I work on my own. So half my time I work on my coaching and therapy, and the other half I'm now developing this concept for homeless people in Scotland. And it was beautiful because one of my best friends, I ride a motorbike, and one of my best friends, Chris, is a biker. His wife works for Edinburgh City Council. I put a post out on Facebook about 3 weeks ago telling the whole world that I'm going to do this homeless project. And the beautiful thing was, the next day, she sent me a message. She said, David, it's amazing. I love what you're going to do. Do you know that I work for Edinburgh City Council? And I went, yes. He said, do you know that I'm responsible for allocating funding to charities that want to help homeless people? And I was like, okay, if that's not a sign, what is? So I now have all this information that it would have taken me months and months to get. And I know how to put the plan together to deliver my project. So super exciting.
David, one of the things that is so great about the project that you're doing is that you are going to be helping the homeless, right? And I love, and you know this because I share this with you all the time, but for the audience, I love how you make the time and the space to get that inner clarity about your next steps. And I know as a coach, and I'm sure you'll agree with me here that, for a lot of people, even getting that space is a challenge. And even if they can get the time and the space, creating that space internally, like knowing how to reflect and how to receive the messages of clarity about our next step is such a challenge, because most of the world today lives in fear, in uncertainty. We don't live in survival the way our grandparents would have, but there's a different kind of survivalism happening in society today because, in great part because of the impact social media has on our state of mind moment to moment, because we have these phones that are constantly ringing every second of the day with seemingly urgent and important text message from someone, right? And the rat wheel that we're all on, sometimes it's a very difficult thing to stop and to create that internal ability to receive these messages of where I should go to next, what else can I do? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my divine mission in this life? How am I to be creative in order to expand versus be another agent of retraction, right? Or contraction. So if you were to give us, say, your top 3 tips on how to live in a more creative space, to create that internal space, to hear or receive the messages of creative expansion and good in the world, what would you say is the best thing for people to take on right now?
Okay, number 1, and I hope there's nobody from the BBC listening, don't watch TV. No, there's a great thing, and I heard it early on when I was in this learning to develop myself personally, is every day guard the door of your mind. And if you think about it, you have your phone, you have your TV, you have your tablet, there's a non-stop information. And particularly when a lot of us are confined to our homes because of lockdown, it's like all we see is this information and information and information. And none of us knows what's right, what's wrong, what's true. So I don't watch TV. Occasionally I'll watch a movie on Amazon or Gaia TV or whatever. So that's number 1, is restrict the amount of time that you spend on your social media and your TV, because what happens is you just fill your mind, and whatever comes in your mind goes into your subconscious. And as Gaia said, it's we're programmed to survive, and we're not surviving man-eating tigers or dinosaurs anymore. We're surviving what other people think about us, and what people say is oh, I can't do that because somebody might not like it. And that happens because we've just fed things from media. So number 1, disconnect from media. Secondly, find a way. And for some people, meditate. They can't sit and meditate. They go, oh, the noise in my head, the noise in my head. Some people believe meditation is just pure silence in your head. I don't know anybody, well, I know 1 or 2 people that maybe can get to that blissful state. Even when I'm meditating, and I've meditated every day for 3.5 years, I've not missed a day, morning and night. And there's still thoughts that run around my head. But what I've learned to do is I just picture them as sticks falling into a river and they go away, or watch them float down the river. So for me, meditation is important. I love listening to music. Music is one of my passions. And I just connect to, when I don't listen to Iron Maiden, not when I want to find peace. But I listen to something that just calms me down, calms my spirit. And I've just learned to breathe. And whenever there's noise in my head, and maybe for those of you wanting to learn to meditate, every time these thoughts come up, you can picture them floating away, or you just come back and concentrate on your breathing. So that's the second thing, is just unplug. And the third thing is, I live in a beautiful countryside here in the south of Scotland. So it's very easy for me. I just walk, I live on a farm. I walk out, I go down my hill, and I go through the village, and then I'm surrounded by rivers and hills and things. So when I go out, I just connect with nature. I don't listen to anything, and I just listen to what's going on. Sometimes I watch deer running past, or rabbits running, and sometimes I see nobody. But just to listen to the silence of nature, the birds singing, the river running. And when you can connect to that, it takes you to another place. So not to restrict your TV, if at all. Don't, just maybe half an hour a day. Meditate, journal, and get out in nature. And if you live in a city, find a park. I'm sure there's parks. There'll be a park near where you live, and just connect with nature. So they're my 3 tips.
They're great. Thank you so much. And I so much agree. And nowadays you can see that people are dominated by fear a lot, fear to change something, fear to lose their job, or to lose money or anything. And in your opinion, what values should people be guided by in a creative society? What should be our main values?
Well, the thing is, we're all born equal. And I mean, I remember hearing it the saying when I was a young guy, some are more equal than others. I don't actually believe that. I believe everybody has a fundamental right to life. I mean, my philosophy is to grow, to give, live, and to love. And if you can do all of those 4 things, everybody should have the right to do these things. But so often, many of us we're controlled by what people say to us. Oh, I can't do this because somebody might not like it. And it's about freedom. We're all individuals. We all should have the freedom to live the life that we want. So if you want to watch television 24 hours a day, watch television 24 hours a day. If you want to not watch TV, or you want to do whatever it is, you should have the freedom to do that. We should also have the freedom of speech. I mean, there's lots of bad energy going around this moment about vaccines or no vaccines, and everybody has the right to believe what they want. And a lot of what I see I don't agree with, but I don't get vocal about it on social media, because I don't want to judge anybody for their beliefs, because that's their belief. So for me, it's about everybody having access to the same quality of life. And here in the Western world, we take our life so much for granted. I mean, I've been to some poor parts of the world. I've been to the slums of Rio, for example. And I've even been to the poor parts of some cities in the UK and in Europe. And for me, the sad thing is that in the world that we live in, there's one extreme here and one extreme here, and then there's a lot of noise and mess in the middle. And the homeless thing is very important for me, because I believe everybody has a fundamental right to have a roof over their head, whether they can afford it or not. And what I want to do in my project is to help people get their head and their heart right. So, because some people, they are homeless because their belief says, I don't deserve this, or I'm not good enough. And somebody else deserves it better than me. And for me, that's just simply not true. Everybody has the opportunity to have basic things in life: a roof over their head, water, and food to eat. And when it breaks my heart to see, The trigger for this was when I was in Glasgow last year, and I was going to a concert in the Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow, a really grand plush place, cost millions to make. And I ended up going to a cash machine to pay for my fish and chips. And there was this homeless person sitting beside the cash machine. And I didn't see what was going on. She was covered up. She lifted her head. She must have been 80 years old. And I thought, how can somebody 80 years old be homeless? This is somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother. And I didn't know it then, but that's sunk deep in my subconscious, and that's what came to me. I got that clarity of the vision exactly 1 year later when I was meditating. And that's why I do it, because I have that picture of that old lady in my head and in my heart. And I thought, if I can stop that, that's what life's about. It's like nobody should be living on the streets because they've got no somewhere to sleep, or they've got no money, or they've got no food. It just shouldn't happen in the society that we live in. And sadly, it does.
David, I love this project. It's so necessary. It's so from the heart. And what I love about it the biggest part about it that I think is so fabulous, that I think is worth re-mentioning it in case, someone didn't quite pick it up, is that the goal here is not just to hide the symptom, right? It's not just to give homeless people somewhere to go. It's to help homeless people help themselves, right? So it's giving them somewhere to go, but then providing them with whatever they need to get that head, heart, gut alignment that helps them to create the space and create something for themselves. And maybe, I think you and I have both met, I can't remember this person's name, but there's a very famous person who got help from a coach, and he was homeless. And within a year, he had like this amazing life, because he put all of the mindset happiness work in action. And so I love that you're not just covering the symptom, but you're really addressing the root cause. What is it that broke down within these people that they ended up in this situation to begin with? And let's address the root cause. Now, when we're looking at life, and you talked about the survivalism that we are in right now, that it's not surviving the saber-toothed tiger, but surviving other people's impressions of ourselves, or the judgments that are out there that are so easy to come by, right? I have two questions for you. So I'm first one is, when you're offering this help, right, to people, your specialty is coaching, therapy, and counseling. Can you just quickly give us a rundown of what is the difference between having a coach, getting therapy, or being counseled?
Okay, good question, Carol. Thank you. So coaching, and I see, and there's a great belief that coaches tell you what to do. Coaches don't tell you what to do. Coaches help you pull out what's inside you. So we've both done thousands and thousands of coaching. And the gift in being a coach is watching somebody transform. And it's like, because everything that you need is, my belief is that everything that you need to have a beautiful life is within you. What stops you is your beliefs and your mind and your mindset. So coaching for me is to help people. It's like, I'm the guy with the keys. So I come along and I open the key to your mind, to your heart, to your body, your spirit, whatever, and the magic comes out. Counselling is where sometimes people are just really stuck, and they need somebody to bounce it off. And typically counsellors are people that, I've not done a psychology degree, but I can understand the workings of the mind, the body, and the spirit because of the experience that I've done. And I was a bit of an amateur psychologist when I was in corporate, when I was a director. Typically, counsellors are people that have been to university and they've got psychology PhDs or whatever. So they get into things in the theory of it's very, and for me, I remember when I got divorced the second time, I went to a counsellor, and he may even be watching it today. But what he did was help me unpack what life was all about, because I didn't understand mind, body, and spirit back then. So he took me through the theory of it, and I'm quite a theory kind of guy. I like the theory. And then therapy is where you spend a lot of time going back and looking at what actually went wrong, what happened, what's the story. And I do hypnotherapy, so sometimes I help people go back and rewrite the story. I can do that in coaching sometimes, but sometimes because the thing is, there's three things in life. There's your emotional state that you show up in every day. And when you get up in the morning, you have a choice to decide, okay, I'm going to be grumpy and miserable today. And you will be grumpy and miserable all day. Or you can decide, I'm going to have a beautiful day. And you do something that helps you have a beautiful day. Then the second thing is the story you tell yourself, and I come back to the story. So this is just a noise in your head. What are you saying to yourself? Oh, I'm never going to get this job. I'm always going to be fat. It's just, and they're just thoughts. Thoughts become emotions, become actions, become beliefs. So if you keep telling yourself negative thoughts and stories about all these things, guess what's going to happen is you're just going to keep going around that loop. So what I do when I work with people, either in coaching or sometimes I have to go into therapy with them, is to break that pattern and we create new beliefs. So they're the three things. And the other thing that you didn't mention, my doorbell's ringing. This is, I've got a room in my house, so the door's open, so they have to come in. So the other thing is to work with people's energy. And Gaia, you and I know this because we work with people's energy. That when I can feel somebody's energy, it's a block. So what I do is help them take that block out of the way. And sometimes we do that through coaching or hypnotherapy, and sometimes we just connect to them through meditation. And we go on, and when we go on a bit of a visualization, and I help them take the pain in their body or the block, and then we remove it from the body energetically. And I've seen amazing transformations with that as well. So there are four things really. There's counseling, coaching, therapy, and there's energetic work as well. Awesome.
Thank you. And I had a second question, right? So you said, and it's great that you said this because it perfectly lays up the question, but you said that we all have everything we need to succeed already within us, right? And I'm a big proponent of that belief as well. And if we dial it back a little bit, what we intrinsically know is what gets blocked, and yet it's where all of our creativity resides, right? I know you and I work with similar clients, and I'm sure you can relate to this, and that is that there's like I work with entrepreneurs, and there's a level of entrepreneurs that are stuck. And they're stuck in that fear. They're stuck in like, what do I do next? And, it's his fault, and it's the process fault, and it's everybody else's fault except for the leader. And I talked about this on Friday with Bhavin. And then as you go up the scale, there's, it diverts. So these entrepreneurs, they get the option to either stay in that fear and keep growing from fear. And then there's the others, which tend to be the entrepreneurs that I work with. They grow, and they grow in a different direction, and they grow with a more conscious awareness of that inner knowing that's always been with them, right? And so they're taking those decisions from a very different space. It's not just analysis of spreadsheets, but it's also connected to that vision, that mission, that purpose. And what then David and I do is we kind of clean it up a little bit with them, right? So we get the blind spots cleared up a little bit so that that vision, that purpose is even straighter, like even clearer, even stronger. And so going back to what you said, right, and it's very important, because if we are creating a creative society of equal quality of life for everyone, equal opportunity, we need to be working from that place of vision, that place of contribution, that place of clarity, where it's not driven by fear, and it's not driven by greed, and it's not driven by competition, or wanting to get back at someone else, or wanting to outdo somebody else. But really, there's this wonderful expression here in Ireland that encapsulates so much of what goes on, and it's called the tall poppy syndrome. And what it's talking about is, so poppies are those little red flowers we get in May, and you'll see them along the roads, and they're all different sizes, right? So there's two ways to be the tallest poppy in the garden. One is to grow to be the tallest poppy, and the other one is to chop down all the poppies that are taller than you, right? So we want to be growing as the tallest poppy, because it is our mission, our drive, our purpose, our fulfillment, and transform ourselves to get clearer and clearer towards the entire time, just to borrow some of David's fabulous terminology and vocabulary there. But okay, so you were saying that everything we know is already within us. And there's this wonderful expression that is like, everything I ever needed to know, I learned on my first day of school. Right? You learn how to play, how to share, how to defend, how to keep the Legos to yourself if that's what you need to do. You know which kids to hang out with and which kids to avoid. Like, everything we ever needed to know in life, we learn in that first day of school. And then somewhere along the way, we lose our path. We lose that confidence with ourselves, right? And so when we're talking about creating a society that is fair and equal, and offers an entire human race kindness and love, what do you feel is that thing we must watch out for in our lives, that thing that takes us away from all the knowing that is within us already?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind is TV. The thing is, like, my granddaughter is 5, she's just started school. And I know that in the first 7 years of our life are super important. I didn't know that until about 3 years ago, when I started to understand our beliefs in our mind. But so for me, it's as they grow along, it's as you go along life, you're going to be influenced by the people around you. I remember, like, she started school in September, and within about 2 weeks, she was quite a popular girl in the class. And the beautiful thing I loved was there's a little boy in her class who has learning disabilities, and she reached out and helped him put his jacket on one day. And I thought, and the teachers were gobsmacked. They said, I can't believe a 5-year-old girl has this level of emotional intelligence. And I just thought, my ego got a little bit inflated, I'll be honest. I thought, wow, something's working from Granddad. That's great. The thing is, so if you look at traditional education, and I'm not knocking education because it's a belief system, right? But what I think we need to be doing in this creative society that we create is, it's like, give people the opportunity to tap. It's like, and I see these great pictures on social media of like 1 million people in China, 1 million children meditating and things like that. That's what we need to do, because the more people, and even when you're a child, the more you're connected to yourself, and the more you can build that mental, emotional, spiritual muscle, that it doesn't really matter what somebody else thinks of me, because that's their thoughts. It's what I believe about myself. It's what I want to contribute to the world. I mean, until about 2 years ago, I never thought about contributing anything to the world. Yes, I would give money to the homeless people on the street. Whatever was in my pocket went in somebody's cup. And I always like give things to, but people do these things superficially. It's like, yeah, oh, I will stay in my multi-million-dollar house and I'll give $100 or $1,000, and that will make me feel great. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a real contribution, because it's just like putting loose change in the paper cup. And so for me, it's about giving people, and I remember a year ago this weekend, I stood on stage in Glasgow and I was talking to people about what are the possibilities for your life. And I work with a lot of people that are perfectionists, and as a recovering perfectionist myself, it's like because what is perfectionism? It's a limit that you put on. It says, if I get to this level, then people will like me, people will judge me, and I will feel I have self-worth. But what that does is it takes away the opportunity, because what happens if you get there? Where do you go then? Because you need to keep growing as a human being. We're living creatures. If we don't have food and water, we die. And for me, it's the same with our body, our mind, and our spirit. If we don't feed our body, mind, and spirit, we're dying. And I was dying for 55 years because I was just going along with all the beliefs that I'd inherited. So for me, is like what I would love for my granddaughter to grow up into is a world where you have the opportunity to do and learn and be whoever you want to be, not what society tells you. And that's the biggest thing. Is like, so if we could teach children meditation in schools or prayer, meditation, it's all the same thing. It's connecting to a source. So if we can do that, and I love the thing that John Lennon said. Imagine all the people. Like, one day we can all live as one. That's my dream. And whether I get to see it or not is another thing. But God bless John Lennon. And that's why I love music, because music touches my soul. It's like I just hear a message in a music and I go, my heart just goes. And I thought that message has to be shared to the world. And that was, John Lennon wrote many great songs, but that's the one. Imagine a world when we all can live in one. And that's what we should be working towards.
Yeah,
so I get quite passionate about it.
Yeah, so right. We have to have a common goal where to strive toward, and we have to change the situation from the root. We have to change our mindset, individual and collective one as well, and to change the whole system. And the same, I believe, with TV. Like, for example, ALLATRA TV was launched by ordinary people who were just fed up with all this negativity coming from the media. And our TV really belongs to people, and people do everything in their spare time just to see and to show other people good examples, to inspire people, to unite people in one common goal, and very noble and beautiful goal. So I think everything already changing, and I'm going to ask our technical support to show us a short video of how the Creative Society project started, and then we will discuss what results we got.
First step would be for everybody to care about other people and not about themselves only.
People should respect each other, not dependent with the color, the gender.
We must avoid all this confrontation,
The fact that we're all humans is what unites us.
But I think you start to think of yourself more as a person from the planet.
The task of the media is to help society find a common language and communicate.
I think friendship and being nice to each other can unite everyone. want to live in a society where the people are very conscious, so they make conscious decisions.
Work for the sake of society, for the sake of love, for the sake of connection.
I see that all people want two things: love and respect.
A compassionate society, a society that understands that your needs are, validated.
What unites us is being in relationship with each other.
It's about humanizing the human society.
Everybody has to be informed in a proper way.
Let's support each other. Let's help each other, no matter what another person may have.
In the creative society, human life will be of highest value, and the best human qualities will prevail.
So powerful, Alina, so powerful.
It is, and it's just small part of the work people are doing worldwide. And
and what's really great there is that I think those interviewees captured some really amazing points, right? It's about honoring human life. It's about friendship. It's about working together. It's about, doing what's best for the other person, not for ourselves. And I think that's the trap we get into so easily, is that we look at protecting ourselves first before the other person. Because like David said, right, we're in this survival trap. Like, we need to survive as an individual first. And since we're not fighting saber-toothed tigers, that survival looks very different. And so what we're trying to ultimately do is survive from that ego space, from that my own personal physical body space. And that looks like, am I earning enough to make ends meet? Am I in a nice enough house? Am I popular enough? Right? This is what people use as fundamental measures for decision making, not realizing that by focusing on the protection of self, it is almost impossible to do the greater good work. And I think it's fascinating how when we look at the eight, the eight of the creative society, the first one and the last one, right? The first one is value human life, and the eighth one is self-governance. It's fascinating because in order for us to truly value human life from the place of greater good, our self-governance is where we need to be rock stars. It's where we need to self-govern ourselves from a place of love, from a place of contribution, from a place of human growth, and take the I out of the equation.
Absolutely, yes. David, I know you got familiar with the 8 foundations of creative society already. Could you share your impressions of them and your ideas, insights, maybe how we can implement them and how they can help us?
We were talking about this before we come on air, but the one for me, number 6, development of your own personality, and it's about having that. And I was talking about it earlier, it's just about having that freedom to be whoever you want to be, to learn what you want to learn, to grow in the way that you want to grow. And then the other one, which is really, really a big thing for me at the moment, is transparency and openness of information for everybody. And if I look at, like, there's information and statistics, and people are being put into fear because they see they're overwhelmed with numbers and statistics, and there's no real transparency in what's actually happening. And everybody is arguing and tearing each other apart on social media because one believes this, and there's not actually just one set of information which tells us the truth. So for me, that's fundamentally important, that it's like there's no manipulation anymore. It's like, just share the real information from a source that's trusted and reliable, and then everybody knows where they stand, and everybody then gets to make the choice on what they do. And so for me, those two things there, the human safety as well is another one. It's like, I come back to that dear old lady who's sitting outside a cash machine when it's 4 below zero on a Glasgow night. That shouldn't happen. That just shouldn't happen.
And so, David, I'm curious, like, being familiar with creative society and the work that's being done, and the impact they're already having, that we're all already having in the world. What would you say is the shortest? What would you recommend everybody start doing today to make creative society a reality in the shortest time possible?
I can only choose one.
Let's start with one.
Yeah, so number one, and I love this, and I know none of us have been on an airplane anytime recently. But when you get on the airplane and you do the safety breathing, and they say, in the event of an oxygen failure, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help anybody else. So, I mean, we're visionaries, we want to do great things for the planet, but we can't do that. And my encouragement to people is have a look in your own mirror. Where do you need to be, or who do you need to be to make an impact on the world? And that's one of the reasons I meditate every day, because it helps me get the noise out of my head and helps me get grounded to who I really am. Because I can't do the work I do if my head's worrying about this, that, or the other. I have to be grounded and centered and disconnected and go, okay, let me do what I can to serve this person for their highest good. And so for me, everything starts with you. And I've been working with some people in Australia, a group of people, and I said to them, look, I can give you all the tools, the strategies, and all the great things for you to be a better person. But if you don't actually connect to it and believe it and do it yourself, it's never going to work. There's a great saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So we all have to drink of the water of life. And the water of life is there for everybody. And for me, that water of life is just to get connected to yourself every day and decide, who do I want to be as a human being? What impact do I want to make? And I see a lot of people, they go and they do and I think as human beings, we would do anything for anybody else. But sometimes you really struggle to do that for ourselves. And that was something I learned. It's like, I can't really help anybody to any depth if I'm not in that place of congruency myself. So that's where I would start. That would be my number one. It's like, who am I really? How do I want to show up in the world to make the impact that I want to make? And you've got two coaches on here, and there's thousands of people around the world that can help you do that. If you're sitting here thinking, yeah, that sounds really cool, but how do I do it? Then that's where you go. And that's what I'm going to provide the homeless people, is like, they're going to come in off the street, and normally, and I come back to my project, normally what will happen is they'll get a bed for the night and a warm meal. Tomorrow they're back on the street. What I'm going to do, and I'm using this as a parallel for you to think about, everybody, is like, they come off the street and they don't want to be homeless. You may be thinking, well, I want to make an impact on the world. So whatever has made them homeless, maybe they're an ex-soldier that's got PTSD, maybe they were abused, whatever their situation was, we're going to assess, okay, what's happened and what do they need to get their mind, body, and spirit in a place where they can go out and make an impact in society. And for them, making an impact might be that they save their marriage, or they get a job, or they go and do some greater work. I don't know. Because you see a lot of people, when they go through these things, they then go on to give, because they give back. So for you, if you're sitting there thinking, how can I make a difference in the world? It's like, okay, give yourself a little scorecard in your life. How happy am I? How emotionally strong am I? What do I need to do to be able to support somebody else? Because when you understand how to support yourself, then you're in a much better position to go, and I like to call it, sprinkle the magic dust on people. And you can watch them grow and learn and make a bigger impact in society. So the more we can do that for people by giving them the tools to, and it almost sounds like a cliche, to be the best person they can be. But for me, it's just about life is full of opportunities. So when you drink the water of life, there's no limits for what you can do. So, but that has to start with you. I've discovered that I'm doing things that I would never have imagined I'm doing. And if somebody had said to me a year ago I stood on stage and spoke to 450 people, I never thought that would ever happen, but one day I saw it and it happened. Now I'm on a TV station. I never thought that would happen either. So, and I was just a guy, I was a burned out, hard drinking executive. And I changed at 54 years old. So there's opportunity for anybody. You just got to take that glass of water, that water of life. Well, you can't see it. You've got to take that water of life and you got to drink it, guys.
I love it, David. You're talking about first having the courage to look in the mirror and really get a good hard look at yourself and what needs to change within you first. Secondly, take the action and consistently take the action to start making those internal changes. And then 3, go sprinkle the magic and support someone else, right? But you can't fully support someone else if you're not in integrity with yourself first. And that is really what you're talking about, is get in integrity with yourself so that your actions and your desires and how you show up are all in alignment, so you can be the inspiration for someone else to create change for themselves as well. Awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. We should lead by example, and then we will inevitably meet like-minded people, and we will unite with them in one beautiful goal of creating something great together. David, now we are on the first stage of building the creative society, which is an informational stage. Could you share your ideas? What would be the best way to inform all people about this opportunity for all of us to change the vector of development of our civilization and to unite the whole humanity?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a grateful. I mean, as much as I try and avoid social media, it's a wonderful tool for communicating if you use it properly. So, I mean, certainly, I mean, I shared this thing with I mean, there's 4,000 people on my social media channels. And so every one of them will have the opportunity to hear about the Creative Society. Some of them will ask questions. For me, it's like the world today is we have information at our fingertips. We don't need to go to a library or anything. And some people would say we don't even need to learn anything because we just type into Google, how do I do this? So it's just about spreading that message. And when you spread the message, you need to come from a place of congruency. Because I watch a lot of people who maybe, even in the coaching space, there's a lot of people that call themselves coaches, and because of the energy work I do, I don't feel them congruent. There are some things that I won't do that people tell me I should do. I won't do it because it's not congruent with who I am. So, and for us to spread this message, it's like we've got to believe that this is going to happen. I mean, I talked earlier about the world can live as one. This is the fundamental of what you're saying, what the Creative Society is all about. So, and maybe not everybody will believe the world can be as one, but if we can all have that fundamental human, we can all have the fundamental human rights of a roof over our head, water to drink, and then everybody, and the last thing, and Guy talked about at the beginning, I'm a big love bucket. So it's about love. It's like our greatest need as humans is to love and to be loved. So, and I put that out on my social media all the time. I always, at the end of everything I put on social media, I would say light and blessings. Because I'm just sending that to people. It's not, I don't agree with you. You don't agree with me, so I'm not going to follow you. And I think you're wrong. It's not about that. People have the right to believe whatever they want. But as fundamental beings, whatever we believe, we all want to love and to be loved. So, and if we come from that place of love, then we can't go wrong.
Thank you, David. You are, yeah, I think you're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, I'm preaching to the choir.
Yes, love is the key. It is you know, it's right up there. Like as far as energies goes, it's like so powerful. And I think they've done a study, actually. There's a book called Power versus Force, and they talk about how they took monks who prayed, meditated for 1 entire year on the energy of love, and it reduced the violence locally by like 30% or some astronomical number. It was fascinating. Anyways, I wanted to ask you, because this I think is the perfect time to ask you, when you're, as you're talking about love and being a role model and being congruent and everything that shapes our life or fulfillment or happiness, who is someone that inspires you, someone who is socially active and has progressive ideas on how to make the world happier? And we'll give you a second there to think about it. And could you share their name with us? And so we can check in with them to see if they'd be happy to be interviewed for the next broadcast.
Yeah, there was one of my former clients, and he was working in a sales organization, but he has this vision for a sustainable world, and during our work together, he gave up his corporate job and he became full-time in his. He does two things. He's the CEO for a sustainability project in the south of England, and he's also got his own social media channel, which has now got, I believe, nearly 50,000 followers, and it's called Sustainability Champions. And I think, because I knew you were going to ask me this question, so I'm thinking, okay, who am I going to bring on that's got an inspiring story and has a vision to have that? And yeah, his name is Daniel Hartz, and he probably have a heart failure when he hears his name. Heart failure, yeah. But I think he would be great to be on here because he's such vision and passion for sustainability and environmental issues. I think it would be wonderful for him to be on here.
Fantastic. We are looking forward to connect with Daniel. And we also would like to remind our viewers, if you want to join the Creative Society project, you can go to our website, ALLATRAunites.com, which you can see now on your screens, and click Join Us button. And maybe next time we will see you as a guest or as a host, or if you wish, you can help us as a technical support, as a designer, or any help is welcome. Feel free to join.
David, it has been such an absolute pleasure interviewing you, my friend. I'm wondering, is there anything you would like to say to anyone that's watching right now before we close off this segment?
Yeah, I will come back to what I said earlier. It's interesting because I put a post out on Valentine's Day at the weekend, and the thing is, like, we all want to love and to be loved, and there are so many people that are either on their own or in bad relationships with things. But it always starts with you, and I just say, ask yourself the question, it's like, where do I need to give myself more love? Not to anybody else, but where do I need to give myself more? Where do I need to become stronger, wiser, smarter? What is it I need to do so that I can feel really good about myself? And when you feel good about yourself, you want to help others. We're human beings, we want to help other people. As I come back to, it's like when you help yourself, you can help others so much better. So that's the thing I leave you with, guys. It's like, look in the mirror and go, okay, who do I need to be today? How do I need to show up? And what is it I need to change in my life so that I can make a bigger impact?
Wonderful.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for such an uplifting, beautiful conversation. And thank you, dear Gaia, for being such a wonderful host. I really enjoyed to host it with you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Me too. It's been a lot of fun,
here.
guys.
And thank you, all our dear viewers. We are looking forward to see you again. Let's together create the future all humanity deserves. See you.